Unless you want to dance to something else, then you dance away. You're in charge. You're in charge. Yes, I am the host. Yes, I am the host. I can't do it while the screen sharing is going on. Here, come look. I can't do it while the screen sharing is going on. Oh. Yeah, I'm okay. Take care. Yeah. I bowed out, so I don't know. I think so.
One, two, 1, 2. Yes. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes. Turn it off. Hello, hello. 1, 2. 1, 2.
Testing,
Hello, hello.
testing.
Test this mic, please.
testing, testing, testing.
Testing 1, 2.
I have too many things. My things.
Test. There we go. Yep. Testing. Yeah, these are on.
There we go. Yep. She's
Yay.
so I have to unmute her.
Testing 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Could probably go a little bit up. Test. Maybe that's too much. Yeah, too much.
We are also going to have Sarah online speaking. Is that going to work? We are also going to have Sarah online speaking. Is that going to work?
Want to try that now? We stop the screen sharing again.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh gosh. Beautiful pictures. My gosh. What a spirit, huh? Look at those.
Welcome, friends. I'm Pastor Jeff Wells, and today we gather to share our grief over our loss and to celebrate the life of our beloved sister, friend, and fellow disciple of Jesus, Vicky King. As we open ourselves to God's love and an invitation to healing, let's draw together in love and care for one another. So now. Go ahead, Sarah.
I don't see my part.
There we go.
Start over, Sarah, that we didn't hear the first part.
We are gathered in solidarity as a community brought together by the shared waters of baptism to signal the celebration and the bonds of love we have to share.
We are gathered, sharing in sorrow and mourning with all who love Vicky, seeking comfort and sharing compassion.
In the waters, we are one. In the waters, we are one. In the we are one, we are one, we are one.
We are gathered in thanksgiving for Vicky's life, for her enthusiastic engagement of life,
Sarah.
for her wickedly shy sense of humor, for her love of passion, connection with others, and her amazing resilience and strong spirit. In Thanksgiving, we are one.
Yeah. We missed a little bit of it, Sarah, so I'm going to repeat the beginning. We are gathered in thanksgiving for Vicky's life, for her enthusiastic engagement of life, for her sly sense of humor, for her love of fashion, connection with others, and her amazing resilience and strong spirit.
Reading from 1 Peter. Praised be the Abba God of our Savior, Jesus Christ, who with great mercy gave us new birth, a birth into hope which draws its life from the resurrection of Jesus, Christ from the dead. A birth to an imperishable inheritance incapable of fading or defilement, which is kept in heaven for you who are guarded with God's power through faith. A birth to a salvation which stands ready to be revealed in the last days. There is cause for rejoicing here. You may, for a time, have to suffer the distress of many trials. But this is so that your faith, which is more precious than passing splendor of fire-tried gold, may be its genuineness led to praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ appears. Although you have never seen Christ, you love Christ. And without seeing, you still believe. And you rejoice with inexpressible joy, touched with glory, because you are achieving faith's goal, your salvation.
I have my order wrong. I thought we were doing neither death nor life now. Okay. So friends, I'm so grateful to be with all of you today, to hold one another in our grief and to show our collective love for Vicky. Our dear Vicky was born on April 27th, 1959, and died on March 28th, so just about a month short of her 64th birthday. Too soon, gone from us too soon. Vicky, in my experience, was quite a private person, and so I learned only recently about her early years, that she had grown up in Newark, New Jersey. Her mother died when she was quite young, and Sheila and Darren were also quite young. They're her two siblings, and so they were raised by their grandmother. I learned that Vicky was a member of the class of 1981 at St. Paul's College in Lawrenceville, Virginia. And as I discovered perusing her Facebook page, she kept in touch with a significant number of good friends from those years and often attended class reunions. In fact, Vicky seems to have had a large number of friends wherever she went in all of the spheres of her life, many of whom I hope have been able to join us online and some in person today. She never married and she didn't have children, but her friend Rose shared with me this week that Vicky adored children. And so it's not surprising that she spent much of her career as a social worker with the Children's Aid Society, working with kids. She held a strong belief in the value and the power of education, and so she pushed young people to get as much education as they could, and especially to go to college if they could do that. She was a generous and loving and serving person. She always wanted to help others. She volunteered as a mediator at the Brooklyn Mediation Center, and also volunteered with Hope for Our Neighbors in Need for our emergency food program here at the church for many years before her health issues made that untenable anymore. And in the wonderful collection of photos taken by Martine over many years and assembled by her on these beautiful poster boards up here, I hope you'll have a chance to come and see them when the service is ended, and also that our visuals team is putting up on the screen for everyone, especially for those online who won't be able to see the poster boards. I just wanted to say that you can see from all of those photos her love of fashion that was already mentioned in the call to worship, including plenty of black and orange, which were the school colors of her alma mater, St. Paul's. And you get many views of her wonderful smile, which wasn't just when she was in front of the camera. Those were genuine and heartfelt smiles. She also had a good sense of humor, a sly sense of humor, as it said, and also a joyful laugh. When I arrived at Church of the Village in 2015, Vicky was already retired from her job as a social worker and living with kidney failure and 3 times a week dialysis. And yet, even with those challenges, I could tell that she had a zest for life and a fundamental, deep-going goodness of spirit. Even when her transplant failed and she spent a whole year in a hospital, at times not knowing if she would survive, and us not knowing if she would survive, Vicky never gave up. She never lost faith. She also rarely complained, and in fact was always asking about other people's well-being. I experienced Vicky as humble. She never drew attention to herself in spite of her obvious gifts and graces. And perhaps that's why she told friends that she didn't want a funeral for herself. She didn't want people to fuss over her. But our celebration of Vicky's life is something that we need. We need to fuss over her because of how much we loved her and how much she meant to us. And so, dear friend and sister and beloved sibling in our chosen family in this church, you have run the race. You have kept the faith. And we say, well done, good and faithful servant. We will miss you, and we love you. Pastor Alexis, were you going to say something? Okay.
wanted to also say a few words about Vicky, and then we'll invite folks if they have thoughts and reflections that they'd like to share as well. We want to make sure that people have an opportunity to say what they need to say to process and honor her life. So I started at Church at the Village right before the pandemic, only like a couple months before. So I had a brief period in that time of seeing Vicky regularly, and then kind of felt like a couple year long pause where we certainly weren't pausing worship, but we were pausing being in person together on a consistent basis. And even during that time, or I guess I should say, even in spite of that time where I didn't see her in person, when we then came back, it was like picking up as if no time had passed, and also as if we had been long lost friends for many years, even though I'd really only known her those couple months in person pre-pandemic. And she was such a loving, caring, as Pastor Jeff already kind of enumerated, presence in our community. And one thing that always sort of will stick with me is, I live uptown. It's pretty easy to get here, take one train. We like to complain about the Sunday trains and all that. And, I would still feel like, okay, it's a Sunday morning, I'm getting here, yes, it's my job, but, there's a little bit of like ennui in there too sometimes. And I would come in, and there's Vicky, religiously, pun intended, religiously here, coming from so far away, coming with physical ailments that could have easily set her back and easily been used as an excuse to not be in community with all of us. And she didn't let any of that stop her. And it was convicting for me coming, 6 stops on the one train to get down here, to feel like, okay, if Vicky can do this, it's not her job, she's coming from far away, she's got, these physical limitations, and she's not letting any of that hold her back. And that's one thing that will always stick with me about Vicky is just her consistency and the way that she showed that in showing up for her community. And I trust and I hope that she felt that we were always likewise showing up for her and being consistent for her, even in the way that we are gathered here together to remember and to honor her. So with that said, I want to open it up to folks in the space as well as folks online. If there are people that would like to say a few words about her, share any thoughts or memories, we can come around with a mic, and I can also get back to my computer and monitor anyone who wants to speak up on Zoom. Oh, Martha can also do that, yes. So we will make sure we get you one way or another. So anybody in the space? Yeah.
Thank you. I remember Vicky as being such a warm person, and a person that when you walk into the church, she greeted you, and she made my children and my family feel so, special, and she was a special person being here. She had style, she had fashion, and I can imagine her walking with the angels with her hats. And we just loved her, and I considered her part of family. I didn't get a chance to go out to her, but I would call her, she would call me. I would call her to check on Dwight and see how he was doing. And I'm gonna lose that, we're gonna miss her tremendously.
Are there folks or anyone online? Yeah, Dwight.
I don't know how long ago it was. I don't know really exactly what year, but Vicky and I met through H&N, okay? And it was during the time that this church was going under renovation, so it was gutted. I mean, capital G, gutted, okay? But it was in the time of putting in a new kitchen, so obviously we couldn't, create foods. But in the back, we set up for takeout, okay? And we had a group of challenged people that used to come in and help to put the bags together. And there was one young man, I can't remember his name, but he was the only one that I knew in my life that could back Vicky up. Okay? I mean, lovingly, Vicky would come and try to tell him what to do, and he would just say, no, I'm the boss, you go sit down. And Vicky would just look at him and go sit down. Okay? She wanted absolutely no parts of him. But it was that, kind of caring and loving kind of thing that she did. There was a line from our Christmas pageant that came to me as I was talking to people in the last couple of weeks. Okay, and my line as a shepherd was, things were always there, but you just didn't see them. And that's the way it was with Vicky. Okay, Vicky was quiet. Vicky was very to herself, and I kind of have that same trait, which I think is why we kind of got along. But Vicky wouldn't tell you anything, and Vicky was also, if you didn't know her, was as hard as a rock. I remember times hearing her talking to her brother Darren. And for those who didn't know, Vicky and I had a landlord-tenant relationship. So not only were we close, we were close. Okay? And I could hear her just cussing and fussing with her brother Darren, okay, like you wouldn't believe. And then shortly after that, caring and loving. Okay? Vicky I guess a way to kind of describe her, since I'm a food kind of guy, is is the same as an egg that you put in boiling water for 4 minutes. Okay? That shell is very hard but when you crack it open, it's very soft. And that's who Vicky was. Vicky had a shell that, you just wondered, okay? But she was very soft, okay? She cared for everybody. She would tell me stories about people that she dealt with when she was going to dialysis. And as I say, kind of fussing and cussing. But at the same time, if I was going to the store, she would say, do me a favor, pick up a bag of mints or some other stuff, because she would share with that same person that she talked about. So she was that that soft-boiled egg with the hard shell and the soft inside, okay? And that's something I didn't really understand about Vicky. I kind of saw it, but I didn't really understand it, okay? Because we were alike. We did talk, but we didn't talk. We didn't really socialize. I'd stop up and see how she was doing. 5 minutes of conversation, I was back downstairs, okay? But she would call, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, haven't heard you in a week. I called to her, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, I haven't heard you in a week. Okay, so we had that relationship. But like I say, the biggest thing about Vicky, and it's been said, okay? It's been said by everybody, is that she's got to be one of the softest and sweetest and kindest people, in the sense of just wanting to reach out and share and deal with everybody. So I'm sure it may not be a wild party, but it's going to be a meet and greet up in heaven. God bless you, Vicky.
Other folks? Oh, sorry. Yeah, Katie.
Hi, my name is Katie, and Vicky King has made a mark on this congregation. For as long as I've been a member here, Vicky King has been a presence in this space. When I think about rushing in so many mornings as chair of worship, and I'm not a morning person, and I was always running late and probably not stopping to say hi to people. Vicky King was always here also before me usually, and she would always get me to stop for a few moments, stop rushing, and ask each other how we were doing. After she met my parents, she asked me, I think almost every single Sunday, how each one of them were doing. And she made me slow down and speak. And that was no small feat with all of the things I was running around doing. It was really nice to see in the slideshow that Martine captured, I think it was you that captured a picture of her with my dad, because for some of you may know, I'm from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I don't really care about the Packers, but Vicky followed the Packers, and she and my dad bonded over the Packers, so she would always relay messages through me to my dad about the Packers, which was delightful, and yeah, that was, but she was just an amazing human. She also came to my concerts, she was interested in me, she was always offering a kind word to me, and yeah, I'm grateful for her presence here. Martine?
I would love to share with everybody the circumstances that made Vicky and me bond together. It was the not good circumstance that she was ill from her kidney failure, from the kidney transplant failure, but for a year, she was in Columbia Presbyterian Hospital, just a few blocks from where I live in Washington Heights. So it was easy for me to go and visit her. And I got to appreciate how loved she was by the medical staff and how they tried their best to help her feel better. They weren't always sure what was going wrong. But Vicky's faith was strong. She knew the Lord was carrying her. Her favorite poem is Footprints, where there are footprints along the sand, and then there's no footprints for a while, and then footprints again, and it represents that God was carrying Vicky when she couldn't even walk herself on the sand. She knew that God was carrying her. She had faith like a rock. And she was very loving. She gave me a ton of love. Also, sometimes she wouldn't eat her dinner, so I got some really good meals when I visited her, too. Then, when Vicky got a little bit better and when she was able to go to a rehab center in Flushing, I was able to visit her, go on the 7 train and see this lovely, from the elevated train, see the bird's eye view of Queens, and visit her in the rehab there, which was a pretty place. And I'd tell her where I went shopping. We loved dollar stores. Vicky and I could not go past a dollar store without exploring the whole place. So I got to show her the treasures I'd find in the dollar store for cheap. And so we had really a good time. So I treasure the relationship I had with Vicky. She's changed me. She was a true friend. And I'm glad love is forever, because God's taking care of us. Even though we miss her, thank you.
First of all, okay, I said I'll hold it together. My relationship with Vicky was unique. That I met Vicky, I was a young man, in my 20s. Thank you. I didn't think this was gonna happen. You have no idea what she meant. Vicky changed my life so much. Before I came, my daughter said, Dad, and my wife, we were on our way here, and she said, Dad, oh, this first is happening. Anyway, I met Vicky in 1983. I was her supervisor at a drop-in center. I was a young man, very single, had hair, was broke, had no money. And I worked in the shelter long. I was her supervisor. And she would hear me on the phone making dates and arrangements to hang out. She introduced me to my wife of 32 years. We out of that union, we're still together. We have 3 kids because of Vicky. And she was the godparent of all my kids. And where's that young woman, the one with the blue? Oh, you. So I finally see you because I used to, Vicky and I go so far back. She would talk about you to me in Flushing Hospital. I was the guy who would sit with her for hours and days and constantly go. And, I would cook for Vicky, make her soup for Vicky. It was just shop with Vicky. Our lives were so intertwined that no one asked me, other than my wife and my daughter, how are you doing, Dad? It wasn't until I parked the car and came in here and my daughter said, Dad, how are you? Because I didn't realize nobody asked me because I was just in the process of going along with my life, holding memories, not knowing that 4 of the most important people in my life, my wife, my son, my daughter, and my middle daughter is named Victoria in honor for Vicky. I never knew. I knew she was sick, but I didn't know how sick. It wasn't until she was in the hospital. She would come to my house often. It was funny, she would allow me to talk for hours, and it's just hours. We would fight. She was soft, but she was also tough. And I stood my ground, she stood hers, we hugged and kissed and said, who's paying for dinner? And we always would eat. And one fond memory really stands out was when I started grad school. She went to grad school. And then I said, okay, so you got your master's? Like, yeah, I got my master's. I said, I'm going for my doctorate. She said, good, you go for yours. I'm not going for mine. And it was through that time when I was working on my doctorate that holidays and Christmas, she always, from the day my children were born, y'all do not understand. Me and my wife were young, single, gorgeous. Now we're married in love in an apartment with 2 kids back to back. They used to call them Irish twins. And Vicky every year would come. Every year would come to my home for Christmas and bring bags and bags of washcloths, diapers, the things that we need. No silver shoes, no beautiful plaques. She gave us stuff that we needed. We were young. We were broke at the time, working 2 jobs, going to grad school, and she saw that at Christmas, bags and bags. As a matter of fact, she gave my son his first pair of boxes. First pair, and I was like, dang, Vicky, you beat me to the punch. When I heard she passed, my youngest daughter, Grace, still can't get over it, but as I was thinking about Vicky on my way here and all the traffic and the delays, I said to my wife and I said, we're still gonna press and press. My only request for her is, Vicky, the old Negro spiritual, in that great getting up morning, fare thee well, beloved.
Any other folks? You want to say something?
Thank you. Well, I learned from Martine how wonderful Vicky was, because Martine would be telling me, oh, I have to go see Vicky in the hospital. So I wondered, who is this person, Vicky, and what's wrong with her? And one day I had the pleasure of meeting her here at church. She was sitting in a wheelchair. So I went up to her and I introduced myself. And I had the great pleasure of meeting a person who was very sweet. And there was a sense of freshness. I couldn't believe this was a woman who had been in the hospital ill. She seemed so young and fresh. The last time I saw her, we were outside in front of the door here. She was sitting in her wheelchair, very relaxed and patient, waiting for a ride, for her ride. It was like a assessor ride. And I asked her, what is that perfume you're wearing? I love it. It was Diamond Something by Elizabeth Taylor. She told me where to get it. So I went and got it. And now I spray myself with it and remember her sweetness and her freshness.
Okay. Any other folks? Oh, yeah. Diane.
I realized today that Vicky is younger than I am, which is odd because the first day Jeff and I arrived here at the church, she adopted me. And she was my mother. And she was my mother until the last day that I saw her. She was the most nurturing maternal person, and I'm so grateful for everything she gave us here.
Thanks, Diane. Okay. Oh, sorry, I've got Paul over here.
Everything you can say about Vicky has already been said, and we could talk on for hours. She is one of the most positive people you could ever meet. She always asked you about yourself. She always wanted to know about you. She never talked about, I don't feel good today, or I'm not having a good day. If she was here with you, she was having a good day. And she would tell you that. So she knew that I had this deep affection for the Beatles. And she would say, Sir Paul. I was always Sir Paul. And the fact that she would put me in the same phrase as Sir Paul was quite an honor. But she was so positive about life. She never stopped being positive. When I saw her in the hospital, it wasn't like she was in the hospital. It was like she was holding court in her living room and you were visiting, and it was a party. I mean, she was always so good. And she would always just ask me about me, and I would say, well, what about you? And she'd go, oh, I'm fine. And she'd go, is Martha treating you right? Because if she's not, you let me know. And I said, if there wasn't a Martha, I don't know. I said, but no, she's treating me well. I just will never forget her. I will never forget her positiveness about life in face of her dilemmas. She never lost the light, and I hope that I will follow in that same way. Thank you.
Friends, please join me in a spirit of prayer. Loving and connecting Spirit, As we honor the life and the memory of Vicky King, we are grateful for the ways that you walk this road of life with us, with all of us, and that you did so with her. Gathering with one another today, we sense your comfort. We know that you are witnessing and accompanying us in this holy work of our grief. You remind us also of joy. Infuse our journey with your love and inspire us to access the strength and the support that we need individually and collectively. We acknowledge the full range of our emotions today, from deep sadness to great joy and laughter and love. We acknowledge that our sadness is part of what makes us human, part of how we remain connected to Vicky, and part of how we process the loss of our physical connection with her. And so, God, remind us that through this sacred journey of loss and grief, you also suffer. You suffer with us. You are touched and changed by Vicky and the loss of her, and you connect us more deeply to the ways that Vicky touched each one of us with love and laughter and friendship that lives for eternity. In the way and in the name of Jesus. We can be so deeply grateful for Vicky's life and for all of the ways that she brightened and inspired our lives and those of so many others who are not here today. We commend her spirit into God's extravagant and unbounded love and mercy, certain that she has now found joy and peace and rest from her labors. Friends, may peace and hope and love go with each of you from this place, and may all that was good and loving and joyful in our friend Vicky live on in us. May we strive to follow her example of giving herself in love and service to others. Go in peace. Amen. And let's sing together.
Visions of rapture now burst to my side. Angels descending, bring from above. Echoes of mercy, whispers of love. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song.